50 days ago, I started programming games. And I've never done any programming before, and I'm gonna show you what I've learned so far. I started out not knowing anything. I had like no idea at all. All I knew was I wanted to program this one game in my head. It's like an RPG type of game that is a mixture of Dark Souls and Sword Art Online. That happens a lot, that new programmers try to start out with this dream, and I know, but I don't care, because it motivates me to program and to learn how to develop games, even though the reason is a bit out there right now. I'm not just motivated because I have this crazy dream, I'm also motivated by the fact that I know if I will continue doing this every day, then I will come to a point where I can develop and program games so well that I can just make a simple prototype in my head in 1 week of a game. You have an idea for a game and you can program it. Like, how epic is that? So with that out of the way, let's hop right into how I started from zero. I had absolutely no idea. I was seeing this crazy ass editor engine, and when I saw brackies, like the usual guys that you see starting to code, I was like, whoa, okay, like what the heck? And I'm so agitated whenever someone says,
just copy this for now, it's gonna make sense later.
I hate that. I hate it, because I always want to understand what I am doing. And I get it, this is maybe a little bit of a weakness of mine, but it's just who I am. It also helped me a lot to learn better, because if I understand stuff, then I'm actually able to use it better. But I know for starting out, it's actually just too much to understand all of the code if you not even know what variables are. And I followed Bracky's tutorial. I also followed some other guy who makes French videos actually. I'm already decent at French that I can just listen to people and I kind of understand what they're speaking. So I can just listen to some French programmers and I learn both at the same time. So I followed this French guy on YouTube's instructions on how to create a 2D jump and run type of game. It actually looked kind of cool with the animation, the idle and the running animation, and I made the character jump. And it was cool to also find out how to use tile maps and set tiles to quickly build levels. And then you can pretty much already do a jump and run. You just have to add in maybe an enemy and then copy and paste that enemy around the map. It takes some time, but you can actually learn some pretty basic game development pretty quickly. Interesting tip, you can use GPT to help you in many ways when you just started out programming. I get it, if you're like an advanced programmer, GPT might not be that much of a help. But if you're a programming noob like me, and you start programming, you can ask it pretty nice questions. And even if you just don't understand a certain code or why the code works like that, most of the time for me, GPT gave me a very nice answer on how to understand the code. So that's super cool. I highly recommend using GPT. And then I stumbled on this amazing video by Blackthorn Prod, and they made a 9-line of the most important code. In this video, they gave you the 9 most important lines in their opinion. Just these 9 lines enable you to understand so much about programming. You need this in every game. What I'm saying is learn the basics of programming and the most used lines in programming. Probably just by following tutorials, but writing it down somewhere. And this is where I started using Obsidian, because in my mind I will just add whatever code I learn, and then I have a collection of scripts that I can just copy paste into new games where I'm like, hey, I already made a mechanic for spawners in this other game, why not just use it, maybe change the locations of the spawns or change some mechanics of the spawner, but I have the basics already, and then I don't need to think so long, for example for game jams or whenever I just want to quickly create a prototype. And then finally, after doing some practice here and there and trying to create my own game, I actually had a phase where I would just program on my own with ChatGPT, and that worked pretty well, but it took some time. I think I learned a lot in that, but I think the best way to go for learning programming at the beginning is you get a cheap course you think is cool. I did the one from Blackthorn Prod for like 37 bucks. They have a GameDev Rocket Launcher. So that's not the actual GameDev Rocket course, which costs like 700 bucks. That's a bit too much for me. But the smaller one, the GameDev Rocket Launcher, that's actually quite affordable, and I highly recommend it because they make the tutorials in such a nice, precise way. They don't talk forever about some stuff and then, yeah guys, maybe we can do this and this is interesting because, no, they just actually do, okay, now let's add this, okay, now here you can change this, and they just go and do the things. It's more like you have to pause sometimes in order to think for yourself and then code. And that's exactly how I want it. I don't want some guy to randomly talk forever about some random stuff. No, I want them to give me the answers. Boom, that's it. And so I recommend to find a nice course and then use GPT if you want to add extra things in the game, because they also encourage you in the course that I take to add some extra stuff, or maybe think about how you could implement this without them telling you, and then later they tell you. And this is super nice because you can just pause the video, try it, and then watch it, and then you learned it better because you tried it yourself first. And it's kind of cool if you actually manage to do it. But then obviously if you want to add some extra stuff, for example, I wanted to add a pause menu and they didn't show you how to do that, then I could work with GPT and also some other YouTube videos and figure out a way to create it and program the script. And programming is the best with GPT. Handling the editor itself with GPT is meh, but programming itself, GPT handles really, really well. So with all that being said, the game that you already saw here in the back is actually what I'm creating right now. It's a gameplay where you have to dodge all of these enemies that come down. I've made 3 worlds with different animations of the planet, and the goal is to survive for as long as you can. And it's already pretty cool. I'm pretty happy with what I did. I added quite a lot of things myself and I learned so much from it. For example, the chainsaw that you already see here, it's an idea of a friend of mine, and I just sat down and thought, okay, how could I program this? And I programmed it, and I had a little bit of help from GPT. But in general, I made it myself, and that is so cool because I just started out like 50 days ago. So how epic is that I can already program stuff and think about stuff like how I want to implement it, and then kind of manage to do it. It's not all the time that I can, but sometimes I can alone, and most of the time with GPT I can actually already do it. So this is why I think programming is so epic and why I highly recommend you try it out as well. And I'm just starting out this journey of making this channel, and I want this channel to grow as something that new aspiring game developers see as motivation and maybe think, oh, this is cool, and it kind of inspires you. And yeah, that's the goal here. And comment below what you think are some good sources for learning programming, because I think the most important thing when starting out is to have nice resources that you can look up, because I don't like to take forever to look something up that I want to know, and just the part of finding the information is more effort than learning it. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's just so annoying. So please share what you think are the best resources that you found so far, and if you like this, please like and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Thank you so much.